Well, welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Jake Fuller with my co-host, the big dog, Ed Brady. And I just want to say this city election so far, this runoff election, is going according to plan. The latest information I have is that the one and only location for early voting, which is the county administration building, so far it is 288 early votes. 203 of them are Democrats, 20 of them are no political affiliation, and 56 Republicans. So that's a 4-1 early voting in favor of the Democrats, which should be expected when you only have one location, and that's the county administration building. Now, of course, we could have easily had more locations. We could have had the same amount of locations that we had in the first election, but early on with the negotiations with the city, I guess Pam Carpenter decided that whatever they wanted is fine with her. She didn't see any discrepancies or any problem with just having one, which favors the Duck Pond area. So, as far as I'm concerned, either Pam Carpenter is incompetent or she's in collusion with the Democrats. She's a Democrat. She needs to get reelected. She'll do what she's told. And it's a shame that we can't have more balanced elections. This is just, I think it's a travesty, inexcusable. Our call-in line is 372-3995. At 12:30, we're hoping we'll have one of the candidates, Nathan Skop. He may stop by. We'll have to see what happens. But, in the Gainesville Sun, typical reporting, there was a forum that Nathan Skop attended briefly, and then he had surrogates sit in for him, Dijon Kane, and it was it was at least he had a surrogate sit in. He had to make it to a Black Democrat caucus meeting where they wanted to interview the candidates. Now, Lauren Poe didn't see fit to make to have a surrogate sit in on that one, but he made it to the other forum. Of course, he said he couldn't go to the Black Caucus forum Black Democrat Caucus forum because he had to go to church. But I guess church didn't interfere with the other one. So Nathan Skop left the first one and went to the second one, had a surrogate sit in for him. It sounds to me like the Democrats just don't want to be confronted by anybody on East Gainesville with any hard questions about the biomass plant and how it's going to affect their rates. Conveniently, I've heard through the grapevine, some reliable sources, that the Democrats simply told Lauren Poe, stay away. We can't control this forum. It's not under the auspices of the official Democrat controlled forum. So apparently it's like a splinter group. They want some independent questioning. So Nathan Skop went there. He said there were some tough questions, and he answered them to the best of his ability. And Lauren Poe was told to stay away. And I think that shows you where the Democrats stand when it comes to East Gainesville. They continually take the voters in East Gainesville for granted. They have been doing Plan East Gainesville for 30 years. What's happened? Have they planned anything? I mean, have they done anything past giving lip service to East Gainesville? They've done nothing. Unemployment's still skyrocketing in East Gainesville. There's no development. We can even have sitting commissioners insulting the people of East Gainesville, like Gina Mastro de Casa did over the transgender ordinance, saying that black churches were ignorant and needed to be educated, and so on their morals. And so here we go. Just one more slap in the face. Lauren Poe decides he's not going to go to this because he doesn't want to be confronted with having to tell the hard truth. And so this is what happens. So our call-in line is 372-3995 if you want to call in with a question or a comment about what's going on. And of course, the Democrats are like running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, especially the mayor, because Nathan Skop sent a letter to Standard & Poor's questioning whether GRU has been honest in their disclosure and giving full disclosure for their AA rating and bond rating. So, he was questioning that, and of course, Craig Lowe comes out and says, this is outrageous. He's trying to cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. What if they lowered our bond rating? Well, they decided they weren't going to, just on one letter. But of course, any kind of questioning of GRU sends Mayor Lowe into a hissy fit, and that's where our leadership is coming from. The Democrat machine's running it. So what are you going to do? It's outrageous, and so that's where we stand. We can't have a candidate question GRU. The other one, he says he's baffled by Skop's actions, and so it sounds like he's been baffled. Whenever it comes to questioning GRU or how much your bill is going to be, they just don't understand. What's all the big deal? And so that's where Mayor Lowe, I looked on his Facebook page, and they were it was like a gigantic hissy fit. That's all. How else can you say it? It's a hissy fit. And he's just going crazy over it. So it's going to be an interesting election. We're going to have to see where it goes. I just can't encourage people enough to get out and vote. We just cannot have, we're doing everything, they're doing everything they can to make sure the outcome is what they want. The Gainesville Sun, of course, the way they reported it was that Skop ducked out of a forum. They didn't mention the fact that, that Lauren Poe ducked out of the other one. Well, it wasn't announced. It wasn't an official forum. Well, it was announced enough that the reporter from the Gainesville Sun, Chad Smith, knew all about it, and so did the candidates. And so, that's the way it goes. He's fighting. Skop's fighting an uphill battle, and when you have the supervisor of elections either being incompetent or in collusion with the Democrats, and you have the media, who's in my opinion, obviously biased. Gosh, what are you going to do? And then you have the Democrat machine just throwing out every kind of rumor they can. It's going to be a tough election for Nathan Skop, but he's well qualified, much more qualified than the other candidate, I would imagine. That's the way I look at it. But anyway, our call-in line is 372-3995. My co-host apparently is AWOL. So it's just James and myself here right now, but I guess Ed will show up eventually, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, I wanted to talk more about this GRU situation because Skop is contending that the contract was a speculation play in a market that has fundamentally changed since contract origination. So he's saying that the GRU just did not give the full picture to Standards and Poe's, and so GRU came back and assured everybody that was not the case. And that's where we stand. Of course, he's being skewered for even mentioning GRU. Let's take this caller. We got Ron on line one. Go ahead, Ron.
Yep. Since you guys are in the know, is there anyone, a Republican, who is planning on running against Pam Carpenter?
I've heard names kicked around. I wish somebody would, because time and again she's shown that all she does is the bare minimum, and then she runs for cover when people criticize her. And even if she's not in collusion with the Democrats, it certainly looks that way. And I just think it's a travesty that she doesn't have the will to stand up and say, hey, we need the same amount of locations for early voting that we had in the first election. And she doesn't see anything wrong with just having one location. She says, well, the city doesn't want to pay for it. Well, she could have stood her ground when negotiating with the city and said, either we have the same amount of locations for early voting, or you can run your own election. And cities don't want to do that. So if you can think of somebody to encourage them to run against her, more power to you.
She sure does seem like the Democratic puppet.
Well, she and Von Fraser, Von Fraser, the tax assessor, or a tax collector, he tries to come across as this benign little, nice little man, old man who's just doing his job as a public servant, but he's out on the street corners. Like last night, he was out on the street corner holding up a Lauren Poe sign. He did the same thing for Susan Bocher. These people are radical partisans, and this is why, first of all, supervisor of elections and a tax collector, they should be nonpartisan.
Right.
But of course, they're political, and you're seeing how it can be used politically. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. We appreciate it. Let's take Stafford on line 2. Go ahead, Stafford.
Hey, Jake, you were talking about circumstances changing, and they did change after the people at GRU, and Nathan, of course, if he comes in today, he can talk more about this. But one of the big things that changed is carbon tax. The GRU, when Nathan says that the city of Gainesville and GRU bet big, what they were betting on is that there would be a carbon tax at some point. And if there is going to be a carbon tax at some point, then the biomass plant actually will pay off for them. But it became apparent that the carbon tax failed, and it's become apparent that there's probably not going to be a carbon tax for many, many years to come. It's not any time in the near future.
Yeah.
And so that's where the major circumstances changed. They really did bet big, and they were wrong. I mean, they rolled the dice. Pegeen, she rolled the dice, and she's the queen mother. She's been in charge, and she's been pushing this thing. Still defends it, and so yeah. And then with the with the bond rating, I mean, sure, any organization like a GRU or the city of Gainesville or whatever can have a great bond rating as long as they're willing to reach into mine and your pockets, the ratepayers' pockets or the taxpayers' pockets, to take the money. And as far as they're concerned, they still have plenty of room for that. And as long as they make Standard & Poor's believe that, then Standard & Poor's says, well, yeah, sure. As long as you can continue to raise people's rates and you're showing willingness to raise people's rates, then you'll have all the money you need. We're going to be happy with giving you and yeah. Standard & Poor's in many respects is, it's within their right to do that. The problem is not even the Standard & Poor's bond rating. The problem is that they have shown a willingness to continue to raise our rates to do that. They can take all the money they need from us.
Yeah. Well, can you hang on through the break? I want to ask you a few other questions, and is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be right back on Talk of the Town.
This is Alachua County Commissioner Susan Baird asking you to join me in supporting Nathan Skop for Gainesville City Commission on February 28th. I've endorsed Nathan because he is fiscally responsible and his utility experience will allow him to manage GRU to minimize our utility rate increases. As your Florida Public Service Commissioner, Nathan Skop denied the largest unjustified utility rate increase in Florida's history. He was endorsed by every major newspaper as a watchdog for the people. It is critical to have your voice heard in this important runoff election. Please vote Nathan Skop for Gainesville City Commission on Tuesday, February 28th.
Vote Skop on February 28th.
Hi, this is Nathan Skop. I'd be honored to serve you as your next Gainesville City Commissioner. As your next City Commissioner, I will lead the fight to reduce your taxes and utility bills. Please support me with your vote on February 28th to stop the wasteful spending and return fiscal responsibility and open government to City Hall.
Political advertisement paid for and approved by Nathan A. Skop for Gainesville City Commission at Large 1.
This is Cliff Copeland from the Gainesville Social Security Office. This time of year reminds us how quickly time flies. Whatever season of life you happen to be in, it is a good time to reflect on the protection you have through Social Security. There's a lot more to Social Security than just retirement. Of the more than 53 million Americans receiving Social Security benefits, nearly one-third are not retirees or their dependents. They are disabled workers and their families, or the survivors of deceased workers. Those non-retirement Social Security benefits can be especially important to young workers, because about 1 in 8 young people will die before retirement, and about 1 in 4 will become disabled. Learn about all that Social Security has to offer at www.socialsecurity.gov. Visit www.socialsecurity.gov. Don't let another season go by before you find out all the ways Social Security is there for you and your family, today and every day. Visit www.socialsecurity.gov.
Call Jake and Ed now. 372-3995. That's 372-3995.
All right, we're back on Talk of the Town. We are speaking with Stafford Jones. He's the chairman of the Republican Executive Committee here in Alachua County. And Stafford, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, making that point that the city commission pretty much has to assure them that, well, we don't mind raising rates. And so that's why they keep their AA rating, because their AA rating, because because of their willingness to gouge the citizens whenever they need to.
Well, and analogous to that, I mean, you see this all throughout our economy, even up to the federal government. The federal government, one of the reasons why Moody's hasn't actually, you remember Standard & Poor's actually lowered the federal government's debt rating. One of the reasons why Moody's didn't actually lower the federal government's debt rating was because, compared to a lot of European countries, we're actually as painful as we think our tax rates are. Compared to a lot of European countries, we still have a lot of room between us and them compared on how much we charge in corporate income, and a lot of different types of taxes. Some corporate taxes compared to some countries, and especially personal income taxes. But Moody's didn't lower our rate because they said, as far as they're concerned, I think it was Moody's, maybe it was one of them, but said they weren't lowering our rates because there was still plenty of room for us to tax the public to cover the deficit. So
what they're saying is that there's still some blood left in the courts, right?
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what's happening with GRU. It's like, well, wait a minute, they're not screaming loud enough. There's still room to jack up the rates.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what's happening with GRU. It's we haven't quite screamed loud enough yet, but I'll tell you, here's what's going to happen. Is once that biomass plant goes online and all the real rate impacts start to get filtered through, people are really going to start screaming at that point, because the $10 and something cents per kilowatt hour, or not $10 and something cents per 1,000 kilowatt hour number they've thrown around as the rate increase, that's a falsehood. First off, every bit of information tells us that probably it's really going to be higher than that. But then the other side of the coin is how many people really use 1,000 kilowatt hours? I mean, I've got a wife, 3 kids, and a dog. I am telling you, if I can't get, and 3 kids in high school, the amount of laundry, the amount of times those 3 kids open the refrigerator, the amount of times they go inside and outside, and so on and so forth, there's no way for me to use 1,000 kilowatt hours. So
unless you're Pagine Hanran,
Yeah, unless you're Pagine Hanran, it's I'm telling you, at the rate that they're projecting, it's going to cost me, $30-something a month on average. But I still think the rate is actually going to be higher than that. I mean, in that case, they're talking about the rate. But wait till what happens? Is the fuel adjustment charge going to go up? And then the next thing to consider is the fact that we don't actually need the capacity right now. Deerhaven is capable of producing all the capacity that we need. And so what's going to happen? GRU has agreed to buy all of this power. Well, they're going to have to actually ramp down Deerhaven to make us pay for the more expensive power. And then possibly what they'll do is they'll sell the less expensive power that they get from Deerhaven out to the public. And, I mean,
let's not forget, GRU is supposedly owned by the ratepayers. I mean, this is city-owned, and their mission is to provide the cheapest source of energy for their ratepayers. And they're not doing that. They're going exactly opposite of that, which is just an outrage.
Well, that's one of the fundamental purposes of a municipal utility, is that the users own the utility. Now, here is the other thing that people haven't really talked about that they've done with this great biomass plant. We own Deerhaven. I mean, certainly we've got some bonds because we had to do some retrofits a few years ago to meet new EPA standards, and that's another story in itself. Those retrofits cost us about $50 million more than they should have cost us, because the city commission, even though it was required, it was going to have to. They sat on their hands for 2 or 3 years, wrangling over when and how and what. And by the time that 2 or 3 years passed, the cost was about $50 million more than what it would have been 2 or 3 years earlier. So that's another deal. But here's the thing: we own Deerhaven. Okay, Greg, the new biomass plant, suddenly we don't own our own power plant anymore. So now, see, Deerhaven, we're not, you know, we're not paying property taxes on Deerhaven. Well, suddenly now on Greg, since we don't own the plant, Greg is going to have to pay property taxes. Well, where's Greg going to get the money to pay property taxes from? Well, from us. It's going to be built into the rate. And so, you know, what we've done is we've just said, okay, we're going to stop using our own locally produced power that doesn't cost us any property tax. And suddenly we just gave away our power system. We just gave it away.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's insane what's happening.
Yeah. All right. Listen, we appreciate you calling in, Stafford. We've got stuff. Yeah, we got Carrie. Oh, whoa!
I made an appearance. I slipped in.
Wake up! Wake up! Ed is here. Ed is here.
Ed, fresh from the Department of Motor Vehicles, getting his license renewal. Which I picked up my ticket at 5 minutes after 10.
5 minutes? Oh, wow.
And I just got here.
Wow. Well, we're glad you can make it.
Yeah.
And Carrie's with us also, so welcome to the show, Carrie.
Hi, hello, I'm Carrie, and I just want to make a couple of statements. I want you to know that I'm a new listener to your station, but I want to say hallelujah to 99% of the things that you talk about every day. I'm really enjoying it.
We appreciate that.
Okay, the first thing I want to say is that I live on the east side, and not all residents that live on the east side are of the plantation mentality. When we have public officials that come on the east side, that's how some of them treat us. Like we don't have a brain, that we can't think for ourselves, and it's like leading some of us to the slaughterhouse.
Well,
of course, I don't think that public officials should stand on the corner and wave signs. I thought they were supposed to be neutral, but I guess this is America, and you do have freedom to do that.
I kind of think Von Fraser's moved his office to the intersection of 43rd and 39th. I mean, he's there more than he's in his own office.
And then there is another office that he has set up on the corner of University and Waldo Road.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, what you were saying about East Gainesville residents, you know, you all pay taxes, you're citizens too, and you deserve just as much, just as many services as anybody else in this city. And
that's true.
And with bus rapid transit plan, they've totally ignored East Gainesville.
Yes.
The biomass plant it's going to
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like history repeating itself. The way we got on the ships is that they sent in people into our camps, told us lies, turned our brothers and sisters against each other, and fooled us on the ship. So some of these people are trying to do that again. We are not blind to their actions. We're taking names, and hopefully we can all get together and do something about this. Because it is a sad day when we allow people with IQs of 50 to come into our camp and lead us by the nose. So if I'm being led by someone with the IQ of 50, that means mine must be 25.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think East Gainesville realizes how much political clout they could have if they simply demanded that people pay attention to them, and our city officials for what's it been, 30 years? Plan East Gainesville, same old thing, and nobody ever does anything except put a environmental overlay over most of East Gainesville, so it can't be, no development can go in there.
And we have great people, we have professional people, we have people that are really working hard trying to feed their families, and then we let people come into our community, buy tickets, and then when we have this big banquet, they stand up like they're our friends, but we ought to know. And then they try to tell us how to vote, who to vote for, when to breathe, when not to breathe. And there are many people that are allowing this. But if they would just tune into your station and get some facts about some of the issues, I think things would start going in a good direction.
Well, I appreciate the call, and I just think that and not only East Gainesville residents, but everybody should stop looking at party politics and start looking at what's best for our community. So
absolutely, and when I voted on yesterday, that's exactly what I did. I started looking at what the issues are and not voting because I'm a member of a certain party. Right. I don't care what you are. If you're going to do something to help the people of Gainesville and you don't have a motive behind it, then you're going to get my vote.
All right. Well, thanks. We appreciate it. I hope there are more people like that out there voting. And we're going to have to ask our other caller to hang on through the break. We've got to take another one here on Talk of the Town.
Look how easy Florida Credit Union has made it to get a new credit card.
Don't give up having a credit card. Just give up the high interest rates. Make the switch to a Florida Credit Union credit card today and start enjoying lower interest rates, lower payments, and better customer service. Consolidate your high interest rate balances into one easy low rate payment with Florida Credit Union. We're not the big banks. We're local and not for profit. Make the switch today and start saving.
Come on and join the team. You'll be glad you did.
May I have your attention, please? Welcome aboard American Eagle with nonstop service from Gainesville to Miami.
Fly local with Gainesville Regional Airport. Easy check-in, easy departures. And now American Eagle Jet Service gives you a fast, smooth ride to Miami with connections to more than 250 destinations around the world. Visit AA.com for schedules and fares. Plus, visit flygainesville.com and register for low fare alerts.
Fly Gainesville Regional Airport and American Eagle. It's close, convenient, and competitively priced.
Hi, my name's Bob. I see this ad on TV. Says I can reduce my debt by 50 cents. I call. They told me to stop paying my bills, stop talking to my creditors. They'd take care of everything.
I gave them thousands, but most of it went to their fees.
Getting out of debt is neither quick nor easy. There are those who will tell you anything to win your trust.
I'm more in debt now because the fees and interest on my cards kept piling up.
Talk to your creditors directly, or to find a nonprofit agency near you, visit debtadvice.org. This has been a public service message.
Shot clock under 10 seconds. A dish inside to George. George goes up and lays it in off the glass.
This is Adam Schick, voice of Florida women's basketball.
Shine in the corner. 3-ball. Yes! Brittany Shine. Gators up by 12.
Catch every women's basketball game exclusively on the Star 99.5.
Bonds running out right side. Goes all the way. Throws and count the basket.
The Gators welcome the Bulldogs of Mississippi State Thursday night at 7 on the Star 99.5.
Call Jake and Ed now. 372-3995. That's 372-3995.
All right, the Precious Metals Report is presented by Coin and Jewelry Gallery at 2007 Northwest 43rd Street in the Millhopper Shopping Center. Current market conditions for gold is $1,784.80 per ounce. Silver is selling for $35.32 per ounce, and platinum commands $1,727 per ounce. That's your Precious Metals Report presented by Coin and Jewelry Gallery.
Yes.
I still stumble on that.
Yes. All right. The 4 days in a row.
And I can assure you the service at Coin and Jewelry Gallery will be about 1,000 times more efficient than it was at the DMV for the by experience. I say that.
Well, let's take this caller real quick. We've got Joe on line 2. Go ahead, Joe.
Hi. Good afternoon. I just wanted to mention, Stafford said something about the assumptions that were made in the carbon legislation and things like that that have really affected the viability of this project, if it ever was viable at all. I just wanted to mention, that brings up the point that when we were trying since April to enter into a dialogue with the city and to get them to think about this, we tried to show some videos of earlier meetings, including Mr. Regan saying that if gas prices went down and there was no carbon legislation, this was not the project to do. It was our efforts at that point that actually made the city commission clamp down, and you're no longer allowed to show a video of PowerPoint or the technology, except for if you submit it a week in advance for them to review, I guess. And I think that's a really important point, aside from all of the issues surrounding the biomass and many other issues that come before the...
Yeah,
right. And actually our guest who's now with us, Nathan Skop, who's run for City Commission, is I think, quite familiar with sort of the misdirection especially as it's played out over time from elected officials and some members of the GRU staff.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And to the caller's point, again, representative government requires listening to the citizens of Gainesville, and when they do that type of censorship, I mean, clearly that's why we need change at City Hall.
Now, I was talking earlier about the fact that you went to one forum briefly, and at least you had a surrogate there to answer questions for you, because you had to go to a Black Democrat Caucus forum that your opponent didn't show up for. So, sounds to me like you're making an effort to listen.
No, absolutely. I think that as a city commissioner, I'd be representing all of the citizens of Gainesville. And again, it was very important for me to attend the Black Caucus event last night. It was an excellent forum, and I was disappointed that my opponent chose not to attend.
Well, you said there were some hard questions there that needed to be answered, and so how did you do?
I thought I did very well. I mean, they're very thoughtful questions that were provided by the panel and members of the audience, and I gave the best answers I could, and it was a very good event, and I wish that it would have received equal coverage.
Well, there was an article in the paper. I'm sure you've seen it. You're kind of saying that GRU is not fully disclosing everything. They were not being completely truthful with Standard & Poor's, and so the mayor on his Facebook page just had a huge hissy fit over this, and then in the paper he accused you of just trying to sabotage the taxpayers. How do you respond to that?
That's completely false. Again, telling the truth is not sabotage. And again, it comes down to who can the people of Gainesville trust? Can they trust Nathan Skop, a former state utility regulator who has substantial experience, multidiscipline education, power industry experience, utility experience? I'm just trying to tell the truth, and it's unfortunate that our city leaders cannot admit that they made a huge mistake. I mean, they bet big, they guessed wrong, and now we need to fix this problem before it's too late for the citizens of Gainesville.
And I think not only do you bring the skill set to fix the problem, but also I think what speaks really well is because of your role on the Public Service Commissions, you've probably seen just about every way of trying to get power to a community, every way to finance it, every way to develop a diversified fuel type portfolio. I mean, you've seen what works, what doesn't, what needs to be done here, what shouldn't be done there. I mean, that speaks very highly to the what you can bring to the conversation.
And that's the missing point from this entire discussion that is not brought out. But again, I'm comfortable with my position, and at the end of the day, we need to do what's right for the citizens of Gainesville, and that's why we need change at City Hall.
Well, and maybe one day we get change at the Gainesville Sun too, because I can't help but say that I think they're really trying to skew this, because the thing you referenced, Jake, Skop has Kane sit in for him at Forum. Well, there are two forums. Why did the Gainesville Sun choose one to elevate, while once again, it's kind of like our last caller before the break, kind of, being dismissive of the black community, essentially, because that was the forum they didn't mention. The headline really should read, Skop attends, makes an effort to attend 2 events and is in person at the Black Forum, and Poe skips it. Not important to him.
Now, what was the first forum?
The first forum, according to this, is the Leadership Gainesville Alumni Association, which, by the way, to attend, you had to pay money to be there, so I think that would somewhat narrow the pool of potential people from the community
participating.
Yeah, and then the other one is the Black Caucus, which had a forum, and the Gainesville Sun made it, if you just read the headlines, and unfortunately most people are headline readers and maybe the first paragraph, it appears that there was one significant event yesterday and Nathan Skop didn't go to it. And it's mentioned later that, there's another forum that Nathan Skop went to.
But it was not officially sanctioned by the Democratic Party.
I don't know if you want to comment on that. That's just sort of my pet peeve that, here we go again on the eve of an election. Sort of the selective reporting of the Gainesville Sun's trying to, I think, influence the outcome.
No, I mean, just going back to the prior point, again, this election on February 28th is about change. It's a referendum on change versus the status quo, and change requires restoring the public trust and confidence in local government. And I think I can bring that change if the voters of Gainesville will give me the opportunity and privilege of serving them on the Gainesville City Commission.
Let's take John on line 2. Welcome to the show, John.
Hey, good afternoon. I tell you, those were two good, refreshing calls. That lady from the east side that called before a break, and Nathan Skop. I tell you, the people, it was making me feel good about going down to city commission meetings now on an open night, because I think people are seeing that this power plant is not in their best interest. They've gone full circle on this thing, on how it's a detriment to the environment because it's not necessary, so it's creating environmental hardship that shouldn't even be put on the environment right now for the environmental folks. We've already shown how for every job it creates in Gainesville, it's going to hurt dozens and dozens of struggling families trying to make it on a shoestring budget by higher electric rates. Now, we've come full circle to showing that the taxes they say they're going to make on it is to be paid by the ratepayers. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to draw a picture this time when I go down to the City Commission meeting next Thursday for the people that can't comprehend English language, such as Rob Brinkman. I'm going to actually put a picture in front of the PowerPoint projector and show them how it's going to make people's electric bills go through the roof. You know,
and if you look
guy can make a boatload of profits working for Greg, and so he can hand it. You know, they're going to have two smiley faces and a guy with a frown on his face. You know,
well, look at it this way. Just look at the basic facts. GRU is ratepayer owned. It's owned by the citizens of Gainesville. Its core mission is to provide the cheapest source of energy for its ratepayers. It's not doing that. It admits that it's going to be that your bill is going to go up. And so the board of directors of the GRU, which is the city commission, they are not doing their job as the board of directors of GRU, because they're sacrificing, they're putting a hardship on the ratepayers to bolster their ideology, and that's all it comes down to.
That's absolutely right. And I'll tell you what, if Nathan Skop doesn't win this week coming up, I'm going to be highly disappointed, because I work 35 hours a week. I still go on the street corner and hold a sign 7 hours a week. I still found time to vote, and I also go down to the city commission meeting every 2 weeks. Now, if someone can't just get on and vote to save themselves paying an extra $150 to $500 a year on electric bills, well, I tell you, I don't make that much money an hour. I hope they vote. That's all I can say.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it.
And, of course, that's a hypothetical if he doesn't. I mean, it's within the power of the people listening to the show to change that and make sure he wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take Lori Newsom on line 1. Go ahead, Lori.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. And I just called in because I wanted, Nathan, if you could please, to yet again reiterate in the very efficient way that you do the fact that this biomass endeavor is in fact an error that can be corrected. There's a lot of public sentiment out there that thinks that it can't be changed. So would you be so kind as to just go over the fact that it can be and why you think so? That would be so helpful.
Yes, just briefly again, this issue is not, this election's not just about the biomass plant. There's many challenges facing the citizens of Gainesville and our community, but the common denominator of that is that we need fiscal responsibility on the Gainesville City Commission. But with respect to the biomass contract, it's not a done deal. There are things that can be done. As history has shown, you can terminate a contract. It's just a matter of what it's going to cost. And the city of Gainesville has a history of terminating contracts for getting out of bad deals that our city leaders and our elected officials have made. Case in point, Deer Haven coal contract many years ago. Former Mayor McKeeshan has brought that to people's attention. And then also, too, more recently, the parking garage. That's another contract that the city commission terminated for whatever just cause they came up with at the time. But again, it can be done, and what we need to focus on is the fiduciary duty owed to the ratepayers and GRU ratepayers and the citizens of Gainesville to do the right thing and to be fiscally responsible stewards of taxpayer money.
All right, listen, we got to take another break here on Talk of the Town, and we'll be right back.
The doctors at Eye Surgery Center understand that you've worked hard to get where you are today, and the last thing you need is decreased vision. The doctors apply state-of-the-art technique and technology to give their patients the best options for eye care and cataract treatment, including the multifocal Restore lens for both distance and near vision. So if you've been told that you have cataracts or you're just not happy with your vision, call Eye Surgery Center at 352-377-7733. That's Eye Surgery Center, 377-7733.
Wow, we have so much we have to do around the house.
Awesome! A reason to go to the tool mega sale at Sears this week.
Fix the car.
Up to 50% off all Craftsman Mechanics tool sets. Check.
And the garage is a mess.
Up to 50% off Craftsman tool storage. Booyah!
And the faucet is... Honey, are you okay?
I'm just so excited.
Tackle your to-do list at the Tool Mega Sale starting this Friday only at Sears. Hundreds of Craftsman tools on sale in one place. Craftsman, trust in your hands. Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Welcome to Wilkins Bank. For checking, press 1. Savings, press 2. For other options, press other options. Is that correct? Press 3. To go back. For checking, press 1. Checking, is that correct? Mortgages. Lost or stolen ATM. For fraud.
If your bank won't let you talk to a real person 24/7 by pressing 0, you need an Ally. Ally Bank. No nonsense. Just people sense. Member FDIC.
Thinking of alternative investments? Now's the time to think about buying gold and silver, precious metals, as a hedge against inflation. With the dollar and the euro so unstable, investors worldwide have turned to precious metals. If you're ready to get started, stop in and see Ann or Vince at Coin and Jewelry Gallery Millhopper. You can trade in your old gold for something new or toward bullion investments. Coin and Jewelry Gallery on Northwest 43rd Street next to Beefo Brady's in the Millhopper Shopping Center. Or call 378-3983 to get started today.
If you would like to contact Ed and Jake, you can email them at talk995@gmail.com. That's talk995@gmail.com.
All right, let's take Debbie on line 2, who's been waiting patiently. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, I have to just make it quite clear that GRU, Mayor Lowe, and the commissioners that support this biomass plant are deathly afraid of Nathan Skop. And the reason why is because he speaks the truth, and he makes it so easy to understand that the biomass plant is not a good contract. It's a bad contract, and we can get out of it. I didn't really understand it until last year when I heard Nathan speaking at the city commission meeting. And I called Harold Save. I said, who is this man? He said, it's Nathan Skop. I said, now I understand why we got to get out of this bad contract. And that's why Mayor Lowe and the commissioners in GRU kept reducing everyone's time, because they don't want the public to know that it's a bad contract. And we desperately need to get out of this and get out of it fast. And it's going to cost our electric bills. When you hear him talk about the rates going up, we're not talking about interest rates. We're talking about the rates on your electric bill. And that's what they're afraid of.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we appreciate the call. And let's take Joey on line 1. Go ahead, Joey.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to tell you, I mean, I know you, Jake, it's nothing that went over your head. That call from the lady from East Gainesville, that is huge. Yeah. Because as we have talked for a long time, it's we can put all these great candidates up, but until there's a change in the culture in East Gainesville and just, not automatically accepting who the Democrats put up. I mean, that phone call, I was cheering, and I just hope that she continues to listen. I hope that she continues to get involved, tell all of her friends and neighbors, because if there's a slow, creeping cultural change that happens in East Gainesville, we might finally be going somewhere. So I just wanted to tell her thank you. And also, Nathan, you just got my vote. I just left the early voting.
Thank you.
Very good. And,
all right, thanks. We appreciate
Nathan, he brings up East Gainesville again. I think one of the issues ongoing is over and over again, sort of the establishment, so-called progressive leadership in this community makes claims about what they want to do for East Gainesville, and then they always...
A quick quick example of that is the bus rapid transit proposal, and that's one of the questions that came up at the Black Caucus Forum last night. And the question was, how do you address this? We are paying taxes. We are taxpayers of East Gainesville, yet bus rapid transit doesn't serve us. Is that taxation without representation? So that's an important consideration where our elected officials are tone deaf to the needs of the community at large.
Well, Mayor, it's interesting. There's a meeting last week, and Commissioner Sherwin Henry, whose district represents much of East Gainesville, said, look, we just need regional transit service, not bus rapid transit. And Mayor Lowe says, no, bus rapid transit is an integral part of Plan East Gainesville. And then just 2 days ago, Commissioner Thomas Hawkins emails the county commission on this proposed sales tax, and he's trying to lowball the estimate to make it sound more attractive. And so he describes which routes are the quote principal BRT routes. Guess what's missing? The Hawthorne corridor into East Gainesville just doesn't appear. So there's a major disconnect between what they say and what they intend for East Gainesville.
And to that point, one of the prior callers, with respect to the articles and such like that, there's an important point that needs to be made, is that the Standard & Poor's report stated that the rating outlook was based upon the view that the Gainesville City Commission will continue to increase rates to cover increasing debt service coverage levels and increasing debt load. So what does that mean? Let's break that into layman's terms. Simple translation: higher rates, more debt, and no discussion of the financial risk and substantial rate increases associated with the biomass contract. And the citizens of Gainesville deserve better. This is an important issue that will affect our pocketbooks. And that's why people need to get out and vote on February 28th. This is your money, folks. It's your pocketbook. And everyone has a constitutional right to vote. And this February 28th election is critical for the future of Gainesville.
Yeah, and
good point.
Well, let's take Bruce online too. Go ahead, Bruce.
And I'll try to make this quick. Everything you just said is what I wanted to talk about. But this bus rapid transit issue that's now a controversial issue facing the decision. And when you really look at it, they look upon East Gainesville as the plantation keepers, workers that they could call on for votes with false promises. That woman that called just impressed me so much. It's time to stand up and resist being used. The bus rapid transit is not about getting maids to motels to work, which is derogatory to start with, which was said Wednesday at a meeting here in the county, or Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
And, it's an essential part of getting people that make up the rooms and stuff so they don't have to walk home. Well, when you look at it, that was said by Paul's lady, basically, not word for word, but that was the gist of her comments. Now, so they make you think that bus rapid transit is for you poor folks. But when you look at it and you're informed, you find out that it's really about bolstering two major subdivisions being created on the west side of the county under the new multimodal program. Because that was also stated too, that if these people were counting on the expansion of the bus rapid transit, it's not about you folks if you're listening in East Gainesville. You're solely being used. It's all about padding the pockets of very wealthy people on the west side of the county. You must resist. You must vote for Nathan Skop as starters to break up this stuff that's been going on.
Okay, we appreciate it, Bruce. Thanks for calling.
No, absolutely. I can agree more. Again, we had some much needed rain yesterday, and after that, I think it's time for a spring cleaning at City Hall. So I would just encourage everyone to get out and vote in the spring season on February 28th. This election, again, is a referendum on change versus the status quo, and we need to restore the public trust and confidence in local government to get us back on a path of economic prosperity.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far off on, because we've been talking about some of the major issues important to you, but it seems to me also with the analytical approach you bring, it would be beneficial to so many other things. I mean, we look at Commissioner Todd Chase up there, who's just asking questions, and the mere asking of questions is enough to throw the establishment into a tizzy, and which always tells me if that's what's happening, we need to ask more questions. You know?
Absolutely. They're all used to being on the same page and rubber stamping their little special interest projects. And again, that's not representative government. We can tell by citizen comment that they don't care to hear from the citizens of Gainesville. They routinely limit citizen comment. They put restrictions to restrict citizen comment. You have to sign up ahead of time. Again, we need to change that. We need new leadership at City Hall, and I think Nathan Skop can bring that. And I would just encourage the voters to give me the opportunity and honor of serving the people of Gainesville.
Now, let me ask you this question. Your opponent, when he was on the City Commission, voted for the fire assessment fee, I believe. Has he defended it at all? I mean, because it turns out that now we have a surplus, you know.
Well, you know, was
it really needed?
That's another Pinocchioism. I mean, we have an issue where, you know, we were led to believe we needed a fire assessment tax on the basis that the city did not have the funding in their budget to support public safety issues, namely the fire department. And it turned out that we have a current year surplus that exceeds the revenue generated by this tax that we didn't need. So it's another issue of trust. We can't trust what our elected officials continue to tell us. And the people see that for what it is. It's another tax. They keep telling us things. Yeah. And we need to change that, whether it be the biomass, the fire assessment tax, wasteful spending. You know, the mayor hiring his research assistant at $45,000 a year, but for that we could have another uniformed police officer on the street enhancing public safety. It's prioritizing taxpayer money and spending taxpayer resources efficiently for the benefit of the citizens of Gainesville.
It's almost, to use, to paraphrase your opponent's word, it's baffling to me that in these hard economic times, and people are struggling, to pay their bills, this city commission is doubling down. They're like hitting the accelerator when it comes to bleeding the public. I mean, like you said, biomass plant, and now, little Tommy Hawkins wants he wants bus rapid transit. It's only going to be $108 million, and all of this kind of stuff is just outrageous.
No, absolutely, and again, going back to the state of the financial markets and the economy. I mean, we've all seen what happens when the bond rating agencies get it wrong and when they don't have the information that they need to make good decisions. And this is like just enabling bad behavior from our elected officials, like doling out crack. And they need to live within the means, recognize that we need to spend taxpayer money in a fiscal responsible manner. And I'm just not saying that. And that's why I'm running for office, because, again, I think we need to ask questions to ensure that taxpayer money is spent in a manner that is necessary, prudent, and justified.
Well, it's coming down to the wire. Why don't you give our listeners your website and how they can help?
No, absolutely. Website is www.voteforskop.com. And again, I just ask everyone to get out and vote on February 28th to bring much-needed change to City Hall, and vote Skop on February 28th.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming by today and answering some questions, and it's more than your opponent's willing to do sometimes.
Yeah. Well, again, it shows outreach. I mean, and folks, again, even if, I don't know where you're at on the political spectrum, but at a minimum, you want your elected officials to be accessible and to be open to what's going on. And I think, Nathan's campaign has demonstrated that willingness to sort of go out there and get there. And so regardless of how the Gainesville Sun chooses to skew it, I think that speaks well for his campaign.
Yeah, and I as a taxpayer, I just want to, it's my money. I want to feel like they're on my side.
And just finally, I'm very proud of the clean, issue-based campaign that we've run, and I just hope that we give voters choices, and we need some change at City Hall.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Listen, we appreciate your listening today on Talk of the Town, and we'll have another great show for you here tomorrow, and hopefully both of us will be here. Ed's got his license now. So.
I guess I'll be here on time. I'll work on it.
All right, listen, thanks. We appreciate it.